To our latest Stratos webinar. Today we're talking about what's new in the Copilot and the Power Platform. So Copilot's a very broad subject these days, so I'm going to cover off some of the things I saw in Microsoft 365 Copilot and in Copilot Studio, Copilot Lite as well. But there are more things out there, so I would encourage you to keep looking at all the updates coming out from Microsoft at the moment, just to keep on top of that. If I miss anything, but obviously ask questions if there's things that you want to know about, just ask us and we'll either tell you we don't know or we'll come back to you with an answer. All right, so today's agenda, let's find my mouse, there we go. We're going to cover off this amazing thing to start off with, the digital workplace results ticket giveaway. Then I'm going to cover for you the Frontier program, if you are aware of that. Some of the updates in Microsoft 365 Copilot and Microsoft Studio, Copilot Studio Lite. SharePoint knowledge agents. I think Steve may have covered that previously, but just making sure that everyone's got that and knows how to put it onto their tenant should they want to. Smart approvals, and then just a little bonus at the end for parameter views in your conditions on Power Automate. I haven't seen that yet, but that's quite good and useful to see. If you're expecting something different, just let us know in the chat and we'll come back to you with other ideas for the next webinar. Okay, so first up, we're going to cover off the winning a ticket to the Digital Workplace Conference. I don't know, Mel, if you want to chime in on that one, but
I could chime in on that
everyone know the rules.
Yeah, so the rules are you're here at the webinar, so you've got a entry into the draw, and if you'd like a second entry, you can also come to our November webinar where Ash and Steve will be talking about Ignite because Ash is going. So getting the download on what it's like to attend a massive American conference, which I imagine will be crazy.
Yeah, and Digital Workplace Conference is in Christchurch and on early next year, February
24th and 25th of Feb, I think it is.
Yeah, there we go. And then Steve Knudsen and myself are talking from Stratos. So yeah, come along. But yeah, you're in the draw.
Don't worry, you don't have to go to their speeches if you don't want to. It's fine. We won't hold it against you.
Make you pay the price of being on this webinar. Cool. And with that, I'll scoot over into talking about the Frontier program. If you're not aware of what the Frontier program is, it's an early agent access program that you can sign up for through your Microsoft tenant. Gives you access to the new agents that Microsoft are releasing. You'll see they'll have the Frontier program elements on them. And you do enable it via the admin center. So if you're a 365 admin and you want to add people into the Frontier program, it doesn't have to be everybody in your company. I've ticked over all company there, but it doesn't have to be that. User groups, particular people or not. Just go to your M365 Copilot admin area, click on Frontier, and then select who you would like to have involved in that program. You'll need obviously a Microsoft 365 Copilot license to be able to see any of the features that are available if you are added to the group. Yep, that's a good one to get into, and there are more releases coming. Speaking of which, so these are dropping right now. If you go onto YouTube or your other streaming choice, media of choice, you'll find that the app builder and workflows are now available. Yeah, I can hear myself in the background. So app builders allowing you to build your own app via an agent in Microsoft 365. So what it's going to do is use SharePoint as background knowledge. It has a limited amount of connectors that it can talk to. So it's not necessarily a replacement for Power Apps, but it is possibly a contender if you want an easy use case to build a prototype of something to run an app against. Wait and see, test it out. I haven't got it on my tenant to be able to show you today. It hasn't rolled into my Frontier program, but it is available from today in the States, so that's available. Basically, I've got a little demo which will show you what it looks like taken from the web. And there's also workflows, again, Power Automate-like workflows that are going to be available through your M365 Copilot. You can add the agent, preview, and then describe the kind of workflow you want. It's going to be more about personal productivity, so organize my emails, set up some calendar appointments, send some messages, take an action when a new item arrives somewhere. But there is going to be a crossover between Power Automate across your team and what you want to have happen as business applications and this new workflows engine. So jury's out on both those at the moment, but we'll see how they go. The app builder looks like this. So you'll describe in natural language what you want to see. You will be able to adjust it. Now if I pause it, I'll run again, I'll pause it on the next screen. So if I pause there, see on the left-hand side, it's going to work a bit like Plan Designer, where you'll see all of the sort of information that's coming at you in terms of how it's thinking it's going to build the app for. I mean, that's a pretty basic introduction of what you want to have. You want to probably be more descriptive in your prompt, what you're after, and then it will try and work through that. And we'll just pause it at the next bit where we can see a look at the screen. There we go. Now, I believe these apps, actually, they live in the cloud. They're AngularJS type interfaces that are created via the agent, but they are backed up by SharePoint. You can talk to SharePoint and you can talk to the Office graph. That's about it for those connectors for this particular process, but it might give you enough to work through what you need. But yeah, give it a try and see how it competes with other types of apps. The main thing will be thinking, where's Microsoft heading with this? Are there going to be more introductions of more agent type building, app type building processes within M365 Copilot, or are we going to be sticking more over seeing some of this activity moving over to Power Apps and Power Automate? So wait and see on this space yet. I'm kind of not sure where it's going to go, but it's definitely something to be aware of. These apps that are built, I don't believe there's an admin center for them yet. So you will need to work with your internal IT to make sure that they are covered, that you know what people are doing, but in its preview, so you shouldn't be using it for anything in production other than keeping yourself up to speed about what's happening out there in terms of other functionality coming along in Microsoft 365 Copilot. And then the workflow building tool. Up in the top area here is important because on activity, you'll get a Power Automate like runs of your workflow as it's run. You'll describe you can talk to Dataverse to get actions. You will need to have AI actions in Dataverse enabled as connectors on your DLP if you have a DLP policy. If you don't have a DLP policy, get in touch. We'll help you get one. Make sure you've got those on your environments. But you will need those two elements enabled because the storage of this workflow lives inside a Dataverse. But this one's particularly the examples talking to Teams and Outlook. But this is running a scheduled kind of workflow for you that you can create and send messages around. Again, does it compete with Power Automate? Yeah, probably. But let's just see how it's used, what the adoption is like. If there's an overall admin center for this, we need to check and find that out. But yeah, just in terms of what's coming, so be aware of it. That one. And then there is a new app. This one should be available if you're a 365 admin. You can use a 365 admin agent now, which will allow you to jump in and see who's got those right licenses and who hasn't type stuff. It's an easy prompt right there. But yeah, it'll list them out and then you can export them into CSV. And there are other, if you're looking for information about what's in your M365 admin area, the type of Q&A type stuff that's going to help you. If you're looking to do specific functions, then test it, but I don't believe those are more available yet. It's more about grab stuff from the knowledge source, grab your content and read it back to you. Cool. So yeah, if you're an admin, give that a shot. Okay, moving through to Copilot Studio Lite, which was formerly called Agent Builder. We're going to cut over to a demo in a second, so I hope this is all going to work. You can now build your own agents in Copilot Studio, but they'll be a bit more feature-rich, and then you can add them. The main key driver here is you can add them to your other Microsoft 365 applications. So let's scooch over and show you this. Again, if you need to take it further, what you're going to have, you can extend Copilot Studio. If you've got Copilot Studio, you need a Microsoft 365 Copilot license. If you've got that, you can click on Create an Agent. Here's an agent that I've already built. It's obviously the fictitious softball rules agent, just because it's an easier use case to show. But the idea here is, imagine this is a document or a series of documents that we want to use for HR, finance, business policy, or process. This is a rules-based thing, so it's going to help me identify stuff when we're making things in my softball coaches area, and then someone's come up with an idea and we can validate that against the rules and check it. So main thing is you could describe it or configure it. Describing is useful, but configuring is also useful. So it depends on, describes means you're going to need to put in more text to ask what you want. And then it'll then sort of encourage you along, and then it takes a few steps and you get there. Configure, if you know what you want to do straight away, we'll cover that. Give it a name, change the logo, give it a description. The instructions are really important about this is the prompt that it's going to use. The knowledge source, we're just using one knowledge source here, which is our competition handbook. And I've put in some suggested prompts. So if you're not doing agents this way, then you should look at having this as a bit of a trial. If you're unsure, the main thing we get from a lot of peeps is, how do I write a good prompt? And so I want to show you first, again, if you're not writing prompts yet and you're not sure how to get started, obviously the more descriptive the prompt, the more accurate your agent's going to be. So Microsoft 365 has the prompt coach, and if you want to use it, add it to your own account, and then you would basically put in like a little prompt. Say, this is how I want to write a prompt to ensure Copilot can review a document, right? So push that. That's going to ask me some questions. And then let's give you, here's the, I can then attach document. Obviously, I provide more typos when upload your file from your environment. That across, drop that in. And then that's going to take that. It's got a bit more of a knowledge source about what it can do. Add it twice, silly me. There we go. Got it twice. All right. And then what we can do, it's going to start writing the prompt. Cool. Let's write. It's already doing stuff. So basically, I want to write out a prompt for some. Excuse me, typing instructions. Buttons. Great, here we go. So then you can get to the point where you can write this act, pop that out, and then you'd paste it into your instructions for your Copilot agent. Publish it, update it, and away you go. And so then what you can start using, you can just use the agent directly. So give me the summary of the run ahead rule. So this exists in the document, and I can start querying this particular file, but that's sort of so-so. We already know that's going to be able to do that kind of stuff. We can get the information there. So just so we can see it, we'll get this, it'll pop out. So that's the important thing to remember for the rest of the class. But then what I can do is I can jump over to Microsoft Word, and I can say, hey, let's, if I was using this agent. So what I can do within Microsoft Word on-premise, like or the local version and your full version and then your cloud version, if I want to add an agent into my discussion with Word, then I can add it in, and it's added in. So it's going to use this agent to provide my data, right? So it's going to be grounded in that knowledge. I think this is the phrase we use. And so there's a little prompt I want to put in, and that's going to write me some information I can then bring into Word. So you can bring in multiple different agents during any sort of conversation you're having, and then you can collaborate with others, which I'll show you as well. So let's grab this. Within Microsoft Word, you can just push the plus sign, and that will drop it straight into your area. You just need to click a location on your document where you want it to go in. Sometimes it will pick up the information, but it looks like it's improved. Now we've got these lines that were there. Like 3 or 4 days ago, this would also come into the environment. So now they've taken it. So we're just getting the information in. So that's good. So then we can work in a document. I can query a knowledge area. So I'm wanting to rewrite a policy. I could add that, or I could use a template that we've got. Let's use the template to compare my document, and then have that agent specifically focus on just that particular single focus function, as opposed to a much larger library of content. So then scooting over to the next little demo in terms of using the same agent, we've already enabled it here. I've made, this is my new policy that I'm going to roll out, the world of softball, but it's not quite right. Okay, so I've got, if you know softball, there's 9 players on the diamond, and you can borrow players if you need to, right? So I've deliberately put some issues in, and I want to just check whether this file is accurate. So imagine I've got someone to write me up a new thing, and let's compare it, make sure that against our knowledge source, it's going to work. So run a prompt to check that the document is aligned with our rules. Just this is where you can see Copilot becoming a bit more useful in terms of how it can respond and help you. Now we should see, because this is a live demo, we should see that it flags up those 2 problem areas. Cool. And we can see now, if we scroll down through here, there's lots more information around the same information, but basically we've got the summary there. Main one to call out is that we've got the wrong numbers, which is good. I could extend this agent to put it in red text and do more information and do other things around it, but we can see that it's flagged it up. and then allowing player borrowing. So those two things are the things that I changed from the rest of the rules, and it's picked them up as not being correct. So useful in terms of creating your own agents to be able to query your own internal work that you're doing, and then compare your own knowledge source about how you do things, and making sure that whatever you're going to put out there as other policies is available and correct. Okay, so we'll scoot back there. We'll show some more demos. I don't know if that was useful for anybody. I don't know if there's any comments coming in, but yeah, ask questions about any of that if you want to. I've taken screenshots of all of that so we can see how that works. And then the other thing I want to show you there is I can then reuse that agent again in Microsoft Teams. So I can have a meeting or I can have a chat. And I've seen this demo at Ignite last year where they brought in a third-party agent to help as a legal counsel for a particular example. But this again, now it's functional inside of rest of Teams. I can add agents and bots. And I can add that same agent into a chat that I'm having with a team. So I can have me and others involved, and we can say, we're working on stuff. Well, let's bring in our knowledge source agent. You would assume that everybody's got the subject matter expertise anyway, but if they haven't, or it's a new area, or it's a very niche area, then you can bring in more information around, get the agent to look at the source knowledge and come back with a summary. And you kind of know you're going to get it back. And then you can also review your own content first, your own responses, and then allow the rest of the group to see it. But that just shows up in a Teams chat. And so super available for you if you need to start using agents inside other apps.
Hey, Rich.
Yes.
James just asked if he has seen something where it was able to directly amend or add comments into the document.
Well, yeah. So inside of Word, if I bring this one back over, so the amending piece is this little add to doc. It will, let's do that. Just do a little. Sorry, I'm thinking on the spot to allow 1 times. Should be 1 times. Cool. Break that in. It's not going to amend the section in the Word document, but it will write you out some information, and I can then keep that highlighted. Scroll down to my bottom when it comes in, grab that, wait till you get to, it keeps going, and then should be able to click it, but it's going to put it underneath. It's put all that content in, so that's a bit limited. So if I was going to be doing that, I would take the information that I wanted. So if that was my new section, I could use the copy function and then put it in, but it's not going to go straight into your area here and sort of change it with you as you go. It's going to put it over on this side, and then you push plus to add it, or you copy it in, and then you can also get it to read aloud if you want to. But yeah, I hope that answers the question. Cool. I just interrupted it. We get any more questions coming in. So we're going to talk next about knowledge agents. So in SharePoint. So if you are a SharePoint user, and I assume many of you are on this call, you can bring in the knowledge agent. You need to use PowerShell to bring it in. At the moment, it's still preview, so don't use it in production yet. And we go back over to the demos. So I've made this Copilot's demo site. I put a bunch of files in here, and I want to see what can my agent do. So the agent, once it's enabled, it might take a couple of hours once it's up and running. Click it, and it's going to be sitting in your user interface to do stuff. So the first thing we'll do is organize this library. And then it's going to come up with some ideas of what we want. So right now, I want to create some columns. So let's create 3 columns. Let's just do 2 in the interest of time, and provide a name for each. And so what it's going to do is read the content in these. It's even adding 3, even though I said 2. Isn't that good? It's going to look at the kind of information that's coming through, and then it's going to try and use AI to adjust how it's got. Now it's gone back to 2. Good. So it does listen eventually. We can see it progressing through. This is only a small library here, and we're doing a live demo here. So your document types might be different, but if you've got things that you need to add in useful, you don't necessarily need it to pick up document type. You could say what columns you wanted, but that's going to base the information. So I can save the changes, but it can't find review status, which is fine. It doesn't enter any for those. But we can see some information around that's a policy, that's a guide. It's picked up some information. It's a rule book. It's picking the names, right? we could refine that and adjust it, but that function is coming. It's preview. It's going to learn as it gets better, but I can save those changes in a new view or in a current view. But the other good thing here is I can copy some information if I want to over there. Is that saving? It is saving. Is it saved? There we go. Great. Cool. And then you can see the autofill activity as it comes in and does it again. But then I can use this agent to ask some questions in my environment as well. So let's just drag that across. Maybe we can when that loads up. See some more information, but then it can act as Copilot inside this particular library, right? So like a lot, we find lots of people looking for certain content in the library. Which are the files that reference this bank account number, or which ones have a bank account number in them, or this is the vendor name, show me this person, or show me this client type stuff. But for this one, we'll say the files that have run ahead rule. So that's just looking for content, and that should be able to find things for you. Again, depending on the size of the library, you're going to get more time to take to analyze. But then we can see it's going to start to flag them out and gives us a little bit of summary with a link to the file if we want to get in there and open it. You should find another one in a second. There's probably 3 where it's in. But again, not everyone knows the full content of their environment, so using, or their library, every word in it. So it's useful to see if it's in there. So finding stuff, or rather than just finding information, we can ask other questions. So there's a touch one in here. I think about the length of the of a touch field. So we should be able to go through and double check that. Most people might know how long a touch field is, but if you don't, then hopefully we'll find out in just a second. But we can see it links, it finds the information and then links to them as well. And then the knowledge agent is able to also give me the touch footy field, how long it should be, and then gives me the information, the link to it. So just another way usefully summarizing the content that you might find in your document library. If you're a new employee, it'd be perfect to sort of catch up with what's going in there, what's in there. But if you're also looking for changes or looking for this is a big long list of stuff and you want to find that one piece of stuff inside the big pile of stuff, then it's a useful way to analyze and find if you can't do it via a regular search or can't find it via your metadata filtering as well. Cool. And we will show you the next area of Copilot knowledge agent. And then what we can do, no, it's not that one, it's our screen's in the way. There we go. Okay, so what we can do also is open knowledge agent in a regular SharePoint site, and I can create a page. You can also improve the site. There's nothing to improve in this site, but it will basically look for out-of-date content and do other things. But let's create a leadership message. And it's going to ask me some stuff. So let's quickly jump in. This is obviously relevant for everybody. You can be way more descriptive of what you're wanting. And sorry, just jumping in with what comes into my head straight away.
Now you're starting a rumor.
Okay, cool. And the other one, so I can write some information there, but I can also change the tone of the message and then how long I want it to be. So let's be enthusiastic with our response, and we'll just go medium. That depending on your style of your site, you might find that button's white out of arc, but that's okay. And it's going to start off as a private draft, and so we're going to see how this comes out. You can add way more content. You can add in images and associated files. So if it's a summary of it, like a PowerPoint or a presentation the company did, then you can find it, and I can obviously co-author that in real time if I want to, and get another pop-up that just randomly appears during a demo. But yeah, so let's see what it said. This is obviously using MCP behind the scenes to write content. Didn't find any content there, but we're still working on the section here. And again, if whoever's writing pages for your intranet, it's probably got a pretty good handle on this already. But if you're looking for specifics, or you're taking a document and you want to summarize that into an easy readable page, then that would be useful to use. But there we've got a preview. Yep. Now to really comfort respectful choices. Yeah, avoid the regrets. So that's cool. Let's put it there in a nice, enthusiastic way. So everything we need to do at your next Christmas party. So I could then send that to approval, and away we go. So let's keep it, and then off we go. All right. Has anyone used that functionality yet, or is aware of Knowledge Agent inside of SharePoint? Just scoot through to these areas. So there's the other information just showing that.
I do have a question, Rich.
Yep.
Knowledge Agent is enabled per SharePoint Online Tenant and Preview to exclude small amounts of sites is fine, but not good when you have more than 100 sites. Do you have information if GA have updated exclusion or select on what to enable?
No, at the moment it's like, here's the sites we don't want, otherwise enable on everything. But that's
Right.
obviously it's still preview, so that will change as it comes closer to getting fully released, which I don't think is till like it's a good 6+ months away. But yeah, so don't use it across everything. I hope you've got a dev tenant you can play in, but yeah, as an area to play with, useful. But yeah, it will get better. They know that, or Microsoft knows, not they, that many organizations have more than 100 sites, so they will adjust that, and it will become more available, more easy to enable in your environment, not through PowerShell. It'll become a function within the admin center, but not yet.
Thank you.
All right, the other thing to show you there, if you did click improve the site, it'll look for files, it'll look for some content, it'll look for some broken links. Results not guaranteed at this stage, but it will find older sites, and you can then just unpublish them. It'll ask you if you want to do it. But scoot through. So there's the screens we saw. There's one I did on car parking. Okay, now we're going to scoot over to multi-stage approvals. There's a new, there's already one there, but it's another one. It's called Human in the Loop, kind of like in Power Automate. So let's drag over here and show you some more functionality for if you are, so you can only access this via Copilot Studio with your agent flows. So you can come up with your own prompt or your own trigger. So this is when new items created. This is an expense idea, right? So the idea of multi-stage approvals with an agent involved in the multi-stage approval means you can get some automatically dynamic approvals happening. So things can be approved initially rather than going to a human. But you can also request to have a human in the loop if you want to as well. I've got one here which we've configured, but I'll just show you what you see when you first create this. Think simple use cases for this at this stage in time. Work through that. It should give us a nice screen. So let's set it up. And then so you've got a couple of ideas. Initially, you can create a manual or an AI stage, right? So just so you can see that's how you would normally interface with it. I'll just cancel that and I'll go to the one I've already got. And we'll click into that. I've already created stuff. So when you first load it, you're not going to get all this down the left. You'll get your main area of prompting. Hands up on the call if you're using prompts in anything in AI Builder or anything like that at this stage. No dramas if you're not. Again, use the prompt agent if you need to help you. But the interface here, you're going to have instructions. You're going to come through and explain to the agent what you want it to do. Adding within the prompt, if you add a // please, keyboard, wake up. Anyway, if you do add a // it's going to allow you to type in some content, and then you can put your sample data in here. Let's see if that slash is back. No, nothing's happening there. Sorry about that. But I can basically tell my agent, you've only got 2 actions with this is the AI stage, and I've got some human stages involved in here with names in them. But the initial stage, you've got 2 options, so you can approve or reject. And then you want to tell the agent what are the conditions you want to approve on, and you can start bringing in your various context. So for this one, it has to be in New Zealand dollars. The amount's less than $500. The description contains some office stationery and supplies. So that's a nice little area of using kind of the AI, figuring out rather than regular Power Automate with conditions to sort of assess based on the description of what I'm putting in that it does account for that kind of what I want. The department's not sales, and then the expense state is within the last 14 days, and you do need to tell it what today's date is so that it can work back for 14 days. And so with each of these things, I think I've got in my expense details, I said coffee with client A. So I can test this function here. So rather than having to run the full workflow, I can just test it. Then over on this right-hand side, we'll see why it was rejected. So I've got that area saying, well, that's coffee with client A, so it's not relative to that. So let's adjust that. Buying. Everybody does that, right? So that I can test it again. And now I would assume in my test case that I'm approved. I can move things through. What you'll want to do is, if you do have a very low end approval case, then boom, done. You can then, it's done. And then you can say, if it's approved, then you can just say end approval is approved. Or if you want to do more things, you can start saying, well, let's move on to other actions. I've been messing around with this one, so that's not quite correct. So don't screenshot that and do exactly that. You want to move it to a particular stage based on functionality. And so what I've put in here, when you want to add a stage, you've got 3 options to add a stage, another manual stage, another AI stage if you want, or a condition. If you add any stages in, you're going to get a function. If I do add in another manual stage, it's going to ask you like what the conditions are. So it's an approval type, first of all, let's say first to respond. And then it's got like an if else thing. So there's the information about it. And then it would then carry on. If I just cancel that particular one, delete that. For a condition, when I add a condition, it's going to ask me what to do, yes or no. So if I go straight from my AI one and then put a condition and there's no other actions after it, then it's not really going to know what to do. But you can just leave it in an unsaved state or leave it saved. It's going to say, oh, there's nothing to carry on with. Or just select continue, because that's always an option, or approval or reject it, and then go and add your next stage and then go back and adjust where you want to do. If you've ever built workflow approvals using like a model-driven app, that kind of functionality, or moving screens within a model-driven app, then this would be familiar in terms of having to build out your pages. So it knows what to do, what actions to take. But then you can bring in other functions in here. So as I can, if I wanted to add stuff, I can bring in like other variables that I might create. So this one's, if it's approved, it's less than 500, that's all cool. But if it's actually over 250, I want a manager to check it out. And if not, I could say reject or whatever. But I've added in a variable here. So if I was to delete that, I can then add in another thing. So it's going to pick up existing content coming from the assessment, but if I want to add in another number, that's going to bring in another variable for me. So then if I save that, then in my workflow, in my actions that are coming in to input into this environment, then the approval stage, then it's going to ask me for that parameter to come in. So just wait, we'll just get rid of that one because we don't need that. But down on this one here, we should have a number now. So there's a few functions I've got in here. And so I do need to take from my dynamic content or from a value from a previous action, like what's the amount. So I'm just going to pick amount because there's a SharePoint list backing this up, right? So as you work through it, you can add your other parameters and then you can send it off. In terms of workflow functionality when it's running, it's kind of hard to see what is happening under the hood at this stage. It is still preview, so don't use this in production. Say that again. Everybody repeat after me, don't use it in production. It will get better in terms of visibility of what the stage is happening, but I've deliberately made some errors. Let's go back to my overview. So also when you create these, you'll start in Designer and it'll be called Untitled. So then save it and then go to Overview, and then you'll be able to change the name of the workflow. It's a bit of a flaw in the UI at the moment, but that will become easier for you to change things. Slightly different to Power Automate, but people will get used to it, hopefully. But if I show you what you see with the errors that you might get, I did some errors because I didn't have a manager, right? So the account that was using it. So no approvers found. But in my workflow, there's 3 approval managers. So which is the manager that it failed for? We don't know. And so we are stuck in this spot at this moment in time where we're not sure why it failed. We are sure why it failed. There's no manager, no approver found, which means there's no manager found, even though we've got to get a manager here. So it's not the account that we're using for the demos, but it's the manager or someone else in the approval chain that hasn't been able to be found correctly. So you got to do a little bit of checking to figure out where in my workflow am I pulling somebody in that could be a problem. But it's not like in Power Automate at the moment where you've got other functions to kind of view. I can do more. I can hit the code. The code view doesn't show me where the error is. It just shows me the view. I can do regular functions like in Power Automate, but there's no other function here to say why has this actually failed? Which action? So normally in like a Power Automate error, you might see that message and it might give you a bit more information about where it was. Because it's a multi-stager, we can't quite see the other information about why that is. Cool. If you're more interested in the human in the loop workflows, you'll see them here under the connectors page. If you're not using like going to learn and looking at connectors, I encourage you to do that so you can see what's in there. But again, probably preview for a good 6 to 12 months. Just keep an eye on it as it goes through. But that is a thing to be aware of. One thing that I do want to show you that is available now, I think it's my last little thing before we cut to comments. If you've got a workflow with a condition, so this is a super basic condition, right? So this set up for the demo, that's going to say foo and that was going to fail. If we test it, we just manually test that. Normally in a condition, you can't really see what happened in the condition. So that's done. Let's wait for this to change its screen so we can see the look of it. And so in the condition, so now you may be used to seeing that view in Power Automate, where you can see that it was false or true. It went down the false path. But if it fails or it went false, like how do you know what was it that prompted that? And it kind of takes a bit of rework. If you ever built connectors or conditions inside of Power Automate, sometimes it takes a little bit of figuring out. And shout out to Divya for letting me know this was available yesterday. I can go into the preview, so parameters view, and then I can see the overall condition was false, and I can see now that, oh yeah, there was that line there that we got the false from, that one was true, so overall it was false. So just a useful function if you're going to debug your Power Automate workflows, turn that on. It should be available for everybody, and then you can adjust. Cool. I will scoot back. I think I've shown everything I want to show in today's session. There's all the multi-stage workflows. Again, with multi-stage workflows, start with your basics and then sort of work back through it. Look for easy use cases and then test them out, see how they'd work. You're probably not going to be wanting to use them with your real people, but I know that we've built a lot of workflows for people that are involved in finance, and there's always those easy low-hanging approvals that you just want to be approved straight away, but you do want some validation that they were approved with a good standard, and they did look for stuff. So yeah, a useful one to check. That's my last one there. Great. Let's scoot back to question time. I think, well, we got 5 minutes. Went a little bit longer, but I hope that was useful. If you do have questions, please ask away, or thoughts or comments, that kind of stuff.
I'm just going to throw a link to next month's webinar in the chat too.
So for Darko, I'll reach out to the Microsoft contacts that we have and see if there is any information around how to enable a larger pool of SharePoint sites. But again, because it's preview, we'll probably just get patted on the head and told to wait, but we'll see. While we're waiting, it's going to be USA only. There's a few others, 12 other releases in Copilot Studio, and one of them is if you're based in the States, you're going to have the Copilot. It's going to have a little happy bouncy face that can arrive like Clippy, but modern Clippy, called Miko. So Microsoft Copilot Miko or Myco, however you pronounce it. That's going to be available. Maybe it'll roll out wider, but you'll have like a happy face that you can talk to when you're wanting to verbally talk to an agent or have it interact with you. So something to look forward to, kids.
Oh, I don't think we've got any questions, Rich. So if you want to wrap up, we can.
Yeah. All right.